Hi, how's it going, everyone? So, big news, tomorrow's the day, and I'm out of here, and I'm super excited, and, like, everyone's freaking out, and I'm freaking out. It, like, hasn't really fully hit me yet that I'm actually going to Japan tomorrow, but guess I am, and it's really, like, ooh, I can't believe it. So, in my first video that I ever made, I wanted to talk about what I thought of Japan when I first went the couple of times before, because I feel like it's going to be different when I go now compared to when I have already gone. So here are 10 things I think about when I think of Japan. This is Cara's Tea Time Part 2. By the way, this is not hot tea. It is cold tea. It's milk tea, milk Thai tea. It's really sweet. I don't think I shook it hard enough. Oh well. Anyway, number 1 is cleanliness. So every time I've gone to Japan, I have felt this aura of just calming, like clean smell, non-smell type thing. It's really weird. The moment I step off the plane, I'm gonna feel like my nostrils and my temples and just my whole face is just becomes purified, and it's insane because it just smells and feels so clean there. Like, I look on the ground and you see nothing, no garbage at all. That's number 1. I feel like everything is going to be really clean, and even though there's not going to be a lot of trash cans, I doubt that I'm going to have that much of a hard time trying to figure out where all the garbage is. Come to that, I'll make a video about it because it seems really interesting to see if you could find all the trash cans around Tokyo and things like that, because they're really not, like, they're pretty sparse, but, like, I've never had trouble with finding a garbage can, so yeah. Number 2 is tourists and foreigners. So the first time I went, I didn't really feel like a foreigner. I kind of felt like someone who was there to enjoy the culture and the experience for the first time. And since I spoke a little bit Japanese, I wasn't, like, so nervous, and I wasn't too, like, concerned with just seeing things. I was there kind of to, like, live in the moment and experience, like, everything that was happening around me. The second time was really funny because I wasn't in the metropolitan area. I wasn't really in city areas. I was in, like, kind of a small suburban city, and there was one other foreigner who was my friend, and yeah, we were, like, the only 2 white people, so everywhere else it was just, you know, not a lot of tourists, not a lot of foreigners. But there was this one time I was biking to the post office to do some exchange for my money, and I saw a foreigner from across the street. We looked at each other on our bikes, and then as we, like, crossed different paths, we looked at each other and we, like, just a quick little nod, you know, just because it's like, you're a foreigner, I'm a foreigner, we know, like, even if we didn't speak, like, the same language in our home countries, if we're from different places, we're still a foreigner in Japan. And it's just really cool because you get that connection with people who are really trying to live there, who are really trying to make, like, a home there, and that's, like, really cool. Like, you don't feel like some trashy tourist that's just going around to have fun and drink and party and stuff like that and buy, like, you know, cheap little souvenirs. Like, no, like, this is the real deal. Like, you're here, be a foreigner, not be a tourist. So I want to see, like, living there longer, especially with, like, the foreigner tourist connection. I want to see how that is going to happen, especially with people at my school and people around Tokyo, because I know there's going to be a lot more tourists, but we'll see what happens. Speaking of tourism, number 3 is sightseeing. So for the first 2 times, 3 times actually, I've always gone to Kyoto. I've seen Kinkakuji 3 times. And the thing about going to see a place, like, repeatedly, like, in a country that you don't live in, is that every time you go, it's something more. It's like a new experience, especially if you're going with people who you don't really know, or if you've never really talked to before and you go on a trip with them, or if you're in a group. It's like a great experience to show someone, and then all these memories come back and you're like, wow, I remember this. You got a little something there. It's it's very invigorating. It's a good memory. It's good to know, like, when you see something again, it truly makes you feel good and happy, and it gives you all of these good memories that you want to cherish. I'm so excited to go back to where I was, because the only time I was ever this long in Tokyo was my first time, and the longest I've been there was 4 or 5 days. So I really only got to see a couple of places, but now I get to really like live in the area. So I'm gonna like not just sightsee, I'm gonna be and like look at cool new things and not just see from afar and just be like, oh, we gotta go to the next thing. You know, that's kind of like a rush. That's what sightseeing does. You rush, you go here, point A, point B, point C, that's it, good night, next day. It's not my thing. I like to take my time. I'm a slow poke. Yeah. Wow, that is refreshing. Number 4, weather. Okay, so the second time I went, it was during the summer, like deep summer. I left late June and I came back early August. Oh my God, like it wasn't necessarily terrible, but it was bad. It was so hot, so hot. The bugs literally ate me alive. I was sweating. I lost 5 pounds just by sweating. Like, if you want to go to Japan, if you want to lose weight, come in the summer or come when it's really hot, because you're going to sweat like 10 pounds off. It's really like humid. That's why it's called mushiatsui, because mushi is bug, atsui is hot, and that's when they all come out, they eat you. Survival mode. I've also gone in spring. Spring is a lovely, beautiful time. If I had to go at any other time, it would be spring. I decided to go in the fall/winter because I've never been in the fall and winter. It's always been summer or spring. I heard that it's like gonna be really, really nice in October, November, so I'm super excited. Although tomorrow for like the whole week, it's supposed to be rainy. And I'm like, oh man, like it was just raining like terrible here. And like, I didn't want to deal with rain. Like I like rain, but it's just so icky. I just want to enjoy the sunshine and happiness. Like I'm in Japan, man. Like I just want to, 5. Food. I love food. I really, really, really love food. So if you had like ramen at like those ramen shops, or like real ramen at like those places that are based off of like Japan and things like that, that's pretty close. But like being in Japan and having like authentic ramen is something else. Like it's a whole other food experience. Some foodies have this thing where when they eat like a food, they go like one by one and they like taste everything. It's kind of like the wine connoisseurs. They smell, they sniff, they like that type thing. It's that with food. Even if you're not like a food expert or anything you eat in Japan is just, it's so good. Like it's so healthy, it's so nice, it's so tasty and flavorful. Like it could just be rice and it would be tasty. I don't understand. I've always had amazing food. I'm not expecting anything less of good food in the next couple of months. Only thing is, I'm gonna have to try cooking for myself. The only thing that I cooked in Japan was French toast when I was trying to make it for my host family that one time, and I needed to use like honey and like cinnamon sugar. It was like crazy, but honestly, like I'm so excited. 6. Expensiveness. Okay, so to be honest, Japan is not that expensive. It's a little bit expensive, but it's pretty decent. America's a little bit expensive, but the thing is, I think the most expensive stuff when I was there was clothing. Clothing was always a very higher price to buy, but I also have a very larger body type, so not a lot of Japanese clothes fit me. So I don't really have to worry about that. The only thing I really have to worry about is money for food. So when it comes to expensiveness, I think you can get like a pretty decent good meal, like a meal that will keep you for like 6, 7, 8 hours for like $8 to $12, depending on where you go and what you eat. So it's not, they have so many options and so many things are like available for under $5 at 7-Elevens and things like that. It's not that bad for food wise. If you want to go out and party and eat, that's probably another story. I wouldn't know. The one thing that will eat all your money is those arcades. Those arcades will devour your poor coin purse and you'll be really sad. I would recommend to just make sure you stock up a little bit on the extra things. And if you're not into like partying or like night stuff or like drinking and things like that, just get onigiri every day. Like, who cares? The onigiri is delicious, man. Like, what? 7. This is the universal sign for it. Exchange, okay? Every time you need to figure out how to do an exchange to whatever currency you got, literally exchange. That's all you gotta do. Exchange. This is the symbol for it. I don't know why everyone gets it. Like, oh, you need to exchange? Like, that's how they do it. Exchange. Places that I've exchanged the most yen was at banks and at post offices. This is the second time I forgot that word and I'm not even in Japan yet. At post office, if you go, you do the same exact thing. You ask like, oh, I would like to exchange, and then they would do it, and their rates are a little bit, I guess, lower than banks. I'm not positive. At least when I was there, I got good rates at the post offices rather than the banks, because I feel like the banks, obviously they put an interest on it because they need the more money, but the banks are very nice and very convenient and they're everywhere. You can basically do it to any bank. I'm actually going to be exchanging at the airport, so we'll see how that goes, because I heard that their rate is pretty good as well, and I might get like another couple hundred out. So someone rang the doorbell. The rate will be better. At least that's what someone told me. That's what I think. So, oh, I'm sorry. I'm playing with my Hulk smash hand. I get fidgety. Number 7 is staying in touch and talking with people back home. This is a little bit difficult to really say because the first time I went, I was with a family friend, so I didn't really have to worry about like talking to my parents or anything. Damn. And the second time I went, I was 16 and I didn't have a smartphone. So I was 16 when I got my first smartphone because I just didn't want one. I had to wait. But when I came back, I was like, oh, my Japanese friends can't get in contact with me. I need a smartphone. So I got a smartphone. Before that, while I was contacting my parents, I go to an internet cafe like every day. And I feel like there's a little stigma with it. Because like not a lot of people know about the types of internet cafes. But I went to a really nice internet cafe. Like, they were so sweet and amazing. And, like, I basically lived there for a couple of just, like, watching videos and things like that. And talking to my parents, obviously, on Facebook. So, yeah, I would go on Facebook, message them, be like, I'm okay. I didn't really check email and stuff like that. It's hard. So, I mean, if you're the type of person, or if you're too young to have a smartphone or anything to, like, get in contact with your parents with, there's options out there, especially since I went 4 years ago, my host family didn't have Wi-Fi in the house, like at all. So I don't know if that's like still a common thing, which I guess I'll learn about when I'm there. But I don't think a lot of houses have a lot of Wi-Fi unless they need it to work. Family just didn't have it. So the only way that I could have gotten in contact with my parents is through an internet cafe or like letters, but I did the internet cafe instead, which is a lot of fun. 8, time for the people. When I think of Japanese people, I think of very nice, kind, sweet, cultured people, but I also know that there's like a dark underlying secret that every single one of them have, which is they have their outside face and their inside face, and there's nothing you can do to get them to show their inside face unless you're like their best friend or you're part of the family type thing, because that's who they are. They don't show that to anyone, and it kind of sucks because their inside face doesn't get shown as often as their outside face, so you don't really know who they are. And I'm not saying that everyone's two-faced. No. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying, for example, let's say you're a more aggressive person at heart, right? But your society tells you that you have to be agreeable to everything. So your outside face becomes this person who constantly agrees with everyone, even though you don't personally agree with it. And when you get home, you complain and you're like, bah, 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 bah. That's what it's like. And I personally don't really like that, because I hate beating around the bush. I just want people to say what they want to say and get it over with, you know? And it's really hard for some Japanese people. That's why I'm a little bit nervous to be very opinionated and to be very loud and to be very aggressive, because I don't want anyone to feel that intimidation, that like, wow, like we can't say anything to her because, you know, she's like this, like type thing. You know, it's just, it's so difficult to try to get like a good balance between knowing when to not say something and when to say something. It's just not in their outer face nature to do so. They might want to, but then they'll be like, oh, we don't want to like say anything. So hopefully when I'm there, like the generation has changed a little bit. I mean, it's only been 2 years. I didn't really talk to a lot of people last time. It was more so like 4 years ago, but we'll see what happens. So for number 10, I actually have no experience about, so I'm just guessing. This is my own interpretation of when I think of Japan and when I hear nightlife in Japan. When I think of nightlife in Japan, I think of a lot of older Japanese men and a lot of college students going out and drinking. Like, that's really it. I don't really see anything else. Like, they drink and they eat. I'm not sure about clubs or dance places, but I know there's so many bars, or as we call them, izakayas. I want to go to them and I want to experience them, but I just don't know what it's really like. Like, I'm still a little like nervous just because I don't know what the culture for nightlife is in Japan. Never experienced. I'm like an adult there now, so now I could experience it. And I guess you guys are coming along with me on that adventure, so we'll see how that turns out. Anyway, thank you guys so much for listening to my video. I know this is kind of like a ramble, but this is all my interpretations and my thoughts of Japan before I went. And I wanted to make this today before I went, so that when I come back, or like sometime when I'm in Japan, like a little bit in the middle, I can make another video to update this video and say, oh, I was correct, I still think this way, or no, like my opinion's changed. And I think that's like a really interesting, cool thing to share. So that's it. My last video in my room, in my home. I'll be gone for 3.5 months. It's gonna be exciting. Alrighty, see you guys in the next video. Bye.